Hi everyone, today I am going to do a very tip heavy tutorial. So it's going to be quite a long one, so pull up a chair, make yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable because we're going to go into all kinds of tips because a lot of you have mentioned that you've either bought the new velvet or the blue velvet, but you're actually quite scared of the darker shades. So Velvet Midnight and Velvet Decade. So that is understandable if it's out of your comfort zone and you're not used to those really deep, intense lip colors. I get it. However, there are so many other ways to wear them, and that's what we're going to go through today. So stains, light stains, dabbed onto the lips, ombre lips, mixing them with another shade from the trio. Like at the moment, I'm wearing Velvet Beauty in the center and Velvet Midnight around the outside to create a sculpted effect as a stain as well. So there are lots and lots of different ways to wear it. Now, you can also use lip pencils, of course, that can slightly change the effect. Let's get started and let me show you the different ways that you can wear the darker shades within the collection, but in a much easier and more friendly, user-friendly way. So another thing I thought I'd do today is do the eye makeup that I was wearing in my previous tutorial as well, because a lot of you said that it was a nice look and it went with all of the lip colors. And the reason I did that look is because I know it does go with lots of different lip colors. And also if you are going to go darker on your lips or more intense and dramatic, then I feel, this is not a rule. You can go heavy on your eyes as well. It depends what your comfort zone is, what kind of makeup you like to wear. But personally, if I do go really dark on my lips, personally, I will go sculpted and definitely defined on my eyes, but not too dark. So I'm going to show you how I actually did that eyeshadow. So I'm going to start with a wash. So I did a wash all over of a kind of mid-tone brown. Obviously this needs to be adapted for different skin tones. And it wasn't a particularly kind of unusual colour. It's a lovely colour, but I'm sure that you have these kinds of colours in your stash as we speak. So it was just like that all over the lid. Very simple, actually. I'm going to blend this in a second, so don't panic. Then using exactly the same colour, just went along the lower lash line. Not really doing anything like a line or anything like that, more just a shadow. I'm going to finish the shape once the liner and the lashes are on. And there was just a couple of individuals that I had on the outer corner. What's that? And then using a slightly darker brown, just patting it onto the kind of outer third of the lid. This I'm just going to leave for now because once the rest of the makeup is on, I'm going to blend, and that's what I'm going to use to blend up and out. But I sort of need to get the guideline of my lashes once they've got mascara on, and also the feeling of the liner. So I'm just kind of plonking that on really at this stage. I do a lot of this, a lot of plonking on, because I like to work things as the look develops. But this is like a kind of marking it, kind of laying out my design really before I polish it up. So onto mascara, and I'm just doing my lower lashes first. I don't have a lot of natural lash on my lower line, so I need to work hard actually to coat each of these lashes, and also to make sure I'm not clumping them together because I don't have enough to reduce the number. So I'm really just going along and painting each one and making sure that I separate them as well. I want more lashes, not less. So I'm just giving my eyelashes a good curl on the top. Oh, I forgot to say, and I'm sure you noticed this anyway, that I'm already wearing foundation and concealer, and I've done my brows, and I put balm on my lips. And this is a really good tip before you do lip stains, to put plenty of balm on, because we need that to sink in, or lip treatment, whatever you normally use. So by the time we come to do the lips, at least some of it will have moisturized into the skin. So I'm able to kind of blot a little bit of it off before I start applying the lipstick. And I probably do need some powder and whatnot, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now while I do my lashes. So again, I just want to make my lashes look really separated and quite feathery. So I'm spending a little bit of time. I like either small brushes or this brush because it goes quite small at the inner, at the end of it. So I'm able to use the small tip to get into the roots of the lashes and then just start to really build up. So now I'm going to do liner. It wasn't a very thick liner. And it was quite thin into the inner corner. So I'm going to start about the center, then just diffuse into the inner corner, not all the way into the inner corner, just a tiny bit. And then slightly thicker here. Might just finish this once I've done a couple of fake lashes. Sometimes you can actually see the angle better once you've got the lashes on. So I'm just going to do that for now. Again, I'm just marking out the land. So I've just put on about 4 individual flared lashes each side. So from about the center to the outer edge, I'm just going to let them dry. And then I might put a little bit more mascara on them, but that's just hopefully going to give more definition at the outer edge. While they're drying, I'm going to take the darker shade that I used on the top with a smaller brush and just at the outer edge underneath, almost stipple that into the roots of the lashes there. It's hardly anything, but it just gives a little bit more shape there. And then maybe go a little wider here. And this will help when I'm going to do my final blend at the outer edge in a second, once these lashes have dried really. So same on the other eye as well. This is also a good trick because it almost fills in a sparse lower lash line. Actually, I'm just going to put a lighter shade because I did a slightly lighter colour at the inner corner. Almost like a silvery taupe there. Just coming up from the corner to about 1/3 of the way along the upper lash line. This is just to emphasise the sort of darkness at the outer edge. And then put an even lighter one just at the inner corner. So before I finish off the eyes, straight onto lips, I'm going to start with Velvet Midnight because I think if you see this, it looks almost black because of its velvet coat. It's actually a really beautiful deep blackberry. Now in the last video, you did see me apply it straight from the bullet and it is full coverage and it's really, really quite a deep shade. I think it's a beautiful shade, but if it's out of your comfort zone, I'm going to show you different ways to apply it. So I'm going to start with a stain just using my ring finger. I have some balm on. I'm just going to slightly pat the balm. I want balm on there, but not too much, because otherwise you're kind of, it's almost repelling the lip colour. So I'm just going to start to pat some colour. So with this, I'll definitely do quite a pinky blush. You could do the same tone of blush, but for me, it's going to be too cold with these eyes. So I'm going to use Velvet Beauty, which is the more pink, the lighter shade that comes in the Blue Velvet Trio. I'm going to add a tiny bit of highlighter as well, and then just start to buff that onto the cheeks. You really don't need a lot. And that's why I haven't put any powder on yet as well. Just so I can really blend this colour in. I think the main thing is that it does need to be of a cooler tone because the lipstick is quite cool toned. You want the blush to be in synergy with it so they look good together. You can obviously do a warmer eye with this. So you could do like a gold eye or something a little bit warmer, which would also look really lovely. So that's Velvet Midnight. It's a very, very natural stain. So literally just pat it along. Now, if you wanted to then go in with a pencil, can't go in with as dark a pencil as you normally would with this colour. So I'm going to use a slightly less intense pencil than the colour of the bullet, just to create some definition before I apply a second layer of a stain, this time with a lip brush, which also works really well. This also means that I can overdraw here. Okay, so now I'm going to apply my next layer as a stain. I'm going to use a lip brush and apply a small amount and just start to build the colour up. So this is if you want more colour, but not as much as applying it straight from the bullet as a full coverage, intense colour. And as I get to those edges, I'm just blending in the lip pencil as well. Now, because this is a true blackberry, it is a very blue toned berry colour, which I think works really well on a lot of different skin tones, because if you do have a cool skin, it obviously blends quite well because it works with your cool undertones. If you do have a lot of red in your skin, you will want to use concealer on that. But also if you're warm toned, I actually really like the contrast of blue pinks and blue berries against more of an olive or warm yellow toned skin. So I kind of think it's quite a versatile, blue undertones are actually more versatile sometimes than orange ones. The colour of your natural lips will also really influence. So I have a lot of blue in my lips, so these sorts of colours tend to pay off bluer on me than somebody that has a more warm toned lip naturally, or even more of a neutral lip. But I definitely have quite, I wouldn't say veiny lips because that doesn't sound very nice, but I definitely have, you probably noticed before, like blue patches. The other thing you can do if you wanted to is use a little bit of concealer or foundation over your lips before you do this kind of stain, if you don't want to have the undertones of your lips really influencing the outcome. So that's a second layer of stain. So that's like a double thick stain, which definitely gives a really good payoff of colour. But I literally feel like I have nothing on my lips at all. You'd even blot it one more time and it would just be, actually nothing's coming off anyway. That is like a real stain. So I just want to finish off my eye makeup now. Going back in just to where I put that darker bit in the outer edge. Just going to keep my eyes open, look straight forward, and actually use you guys as a mirror because I'm so used to doing this. And then just use, kind of feel your way where those lashes are, just to finish off those edges. If you want to really play up the almost wintry berry effect, you could do more silvery shades on the eyes, particularly at the inner corner. Or if you felt like having this slightly blue pink in the cheeks and on the lips was enough blue tone for you, then you could go a little warmer on the eyes, which would also look really nice. I'm also going to put a tiny bit more mascara, just because I have put some lashes on at the outer edge. So that's kind of done that. I was going to put some powder on, but I quite like the shine. Maybe just put a little bit on my center of my forehead, sides of my nose. I quite like this very fresh looking skin with this berry stain on my lips. So that's how the colour looks as a second layer of stains. That's 2 layers of stain. Now I'm just going to show you finally how it looks fully on, so you can, this is how it was in the last tutorial that I did. Just so you can see how different it is between 2 layers of stain and actually full coverage. So there is a lot of wriggle room, I think, in terms of how much payoff you want, how much colour, what your comfort zone is. You can really start with a light stain and really build up. And I know if you've got thinner lips, it is nice to definitely use your pencil and play and have that lighter stain effect. And it also helps it to be more wearable during the day as well. So I'm just going to tidy up the full coverage version, just this time with a brush, because we have already the pencil from the stain. This would actually be nice if you were kind of amping up your look as the night went on. So you start with maybe more of a stain and then you kind of go day to night, go vampy for the evening. Another easy way to wear midnight is to create more of a sculpted lip. So use 2 shades. So either to use Velvet Beauty on your lip and then use Velvet Midnight to sculpt and create more shape and definition. Or you could even do an ombre lip. So if you like that kind of using beauty all over and then just tapping Midnight just to the center. So it's like just eaten berries kind of stainy effect. Or you could use Velvet Myth, which is so much more vibrant, and you could use that one all over and then sculpt with Velvet Midnight. So it's really nice because they have, the undertones are all the same. You can really mix and match with either, you know, Beauty and Myth or Myth, and you can create different effects and layer them almost. Layering them works really, really well. So what shall I do this time? Will I do Myth or... Do you know what? I'm going to do Velvet Beauty and Velvet Midnight because they're more different, so it's kind of harder to achieve, but it's not that hard. So I'm going to go all over with Beauty. So now I'm going to take my Velvet Midnight. I'm going to start to, I don't want much on the brush because this is like a work in progress. I'm going to take off, so it's just a stain. So I'm just patting in to get some definition. I'm also going to use it as a lip liner. I'm actually going to finish off with a lip pencil. I'm going to go back in the centre just to create that difference there, particularly on the lower lip because it gives you a lot of volume then, and tap. Now I'm going to, I feel like I need, because I've got, it's much stronger, so I've got the vibes of Midnight, but obviously it's mixed with Beauty, but I do feel like I need more blush now, a little pinker. So I'm going to go back in with Beauty. Not much, just something really. There, that's it. Just for the balance. I'm actually going to just do that. Make sure Midnight and Beauty are well blended in together. So that's just a nice way to create more of a sculpted looking lip using the light shade and the dark shade. So I've removed Velvet Midnight and just going to go around with a little bit of concealer just to get rid of the blueness. Unfortunately, it has slightly stained my lips. Should have done it the other way around. What an idiot. And I put a bit more balm on as well. So onto Velvet Decade, which is the most beautiful deep chocolate brown. Not too flat brown, so it's more of a, it's got quite a bit of red in there as well. And depending on your natural lip tone, it will look either like a cool chocolate or a warm chocolate, depending on your lip undertone. So I am going to start with the same application as with Midnight. So that's straight from the bullet using my ring finger. And then just starting to pat. I think I've made my lips so blue now from the last one. Ah, piece of glitter, where the hell did that come from? I think it's just from the general makeup area. It happens all the time. When I was on this job yesterday, in the middle of a really nice clean makeup, just using Velvet Decade as a stain, next thing onto the cheek, a massive piece of glitter, just floating in the air. I think as soon as I open my makeup kit, bits of glitter just sort of start kind of floating around, even if I haven't opened that bag for weeks. So that's a very light stain of Velvet Decade, which I think as a stain on someone with my skin tone is almost like a your lips but better kind of colour, like a bitten lip. So it's not too blue, but it's not so pink, but it's like kind of just lip colour. It's got that sort of almost like the blood's just coming to the surface of your lip. On a deeper skin tone, it's more like quite a earthy, more natural colour. Now you can apply it as a stain with a fluffy brush as well. And actually when you apply it with this type of fluffy brush, you can almost not overdraw exactly, but you can be a bit more fluffy around the edges as well. So you have like that diffusion. It just makes it look very, very natural. So that's Velvet Decade as a very light stain and a almost feathery light stain. So I don't have, I'm slightly overdrawn, but without having the feeling of having any lipstick on. I don't feel like I've got any lipstick on, I feel like I've got a little bit of lip balm on. Now I'm going to show you how to make more of a stain so you've got more definition, but it's still a lot lighter than it does when you use it straight from the bullet. And you can just play so much with these dark shades. You can really add a little bit of balm, you can feather them on, you can use a fluffy brush. This time I'm going to use a lip pencil now, and this is the lip pencil actually in the tutorial last week that I used with Velvet Fawn, so it's definitely more of a natural coloured pencil. But because I'm going to keep it as a stain, I don't want to go for a really dark line. So I'm going to start to... This is like a kind of brown nude on me. So there we go, I've just really quite overdrawn them. And then I'm going to go back in with, that's down here, this lip brush. And just start to build up the Decade stain. There's really not a lot on this brush now, so I'm keeping it quite light on the brush. This is how I applied it on the model actually yesterday. So just with a little bit of pencil and then a tiny bit on a brush. and then just buffed in to the lip. And keeping those edges really soft is a good way of wearing darker colours without having them feel so overwhelming. And if you did want to warm up your skin a little more with this type of a tone, you could use a little bit of bronzer. I'm not going to use too much. And something like Velvet Morning. A tiny bit. So you have like a really nice, warm, orangey red on the cheek. So that is Velvet Decade as a double layer stain. Another way to wear the darker colours is to mix with other shades. So with this one, for example, with Decade, even as a stain, and a blot, wasn't much on at all. And you use Fawn in the centre. Full coverage. And then I'm going to go back in. And then just work around the edges. So we just have a slightly lighter feeling at the centre. That's a really nice way to wear it as well. Add a touch more. Because the hues, the kind of general shades are quite similar. But you can also mix and match. I saw someone on my Instagram yesterday actually with Skyscraper Rose and Velvet Jazz. So Skyscraper Rose in the middle and then Velvet Jazz around the outside, and it looks so good, and I haven't actually even thought of doing that myself. The other thing that I did, which seems kind of counterintuitive but did look really nice, is for the singer Dua Lipa. I don't know if you know her, she's an amazing singer. I did her single cover recently. I actually posted it on my Instagram, and for her I had done a stain with Velvet Morning. I went straight from the bullet as a kind of stain, and then I did Velvet Decade, so just playing really with the colours. And then I did this one all around the edge, so we just had this pop. So kind of playing up more of the kind of rusty browny effect, but without going too brown again. I mean, this is quite a playful way of doing it. I'm going to add another pop of that in a sec. I really love doing this as well with Velvet Ribbon and Velvet Morning at the centre. Just dabbing along the top. Trying to do this really fast. Kind of making a mess. These two shades aren't natural bedfellows, so this is a little more complicated because we've got such a bright orange with more of a cool chocolate. So hopefully that was helpful. You can create so many different effects and finishes just by layering, using them lightly, adding a balm, using fingers, using a fluffy brush, using pencil, increasing stains, mixing the colours. So if you have bought something which is a kit which has a light, medium and dark, don't be afraid to mix and match and use one and the other and create different looks if you're not comfortably enough just to go full on straight away with the darkest shade full on. So have fun playing, and please send me pictures of all of your looks, because sometimes I see mixes or techniques with my lipsticks that I haven't thought of before, like this lady the other day that did a pink with Velvet Jazz, and I was like, wow, I'm going to do that now. So do send me anything and hashtag me Lisa Eldridge Makeup, or send it to my DMs, and because I really enjoy posting them as well, because then everyone else gets the ideas as well. So hope that was helpful, and I'll see you soon.